Good morning everyone. Today we're looking at two Pepsi watches outside in the daylight. On the left hand side we've got the Mathey Tissot Pepsi versus the Timex Harborside in the Pepsi look. At face value they're quite similar in terms of size as most GMTs and Pepsi design watches are. The listing price of the Mathey Tissot Pepsi is around about 150, but when I originally bought it was around about 200 to 300, whereas the Timex is all around about 150. So if you're comparing them on to today's sort of prices, they are very, very similar. Very similar in case diameter as well. You've got 42mm case diameter on the Mathey Tissot versus 43 on the Timex, with thicknesses of 10 and 11 respectively for the two brands. The Mathey Tissot weighs probably about 150 or so, and the Timex is similar, very similar in weight. So they are very, very similar in terms of the difference in those aspects, and you're not going to notice those big differences. I think the Timex just naturally looks bigger because it's thicker. Even though there's only 1mm difference, this one just seems to be thicker. I think it's also that slightly fluid edge to it as well, gives it that extra sort of feeling that it's thicker. Coming a bit closer to the dials, obviously got a very, very similar dial here, as you can see. Two different finishes on the actual faces. The Timex seems a bit more of like a bluish tint to it, whereas the Mathey Tissot is always a bit more sort of darker. But I think that's just an illusion, just the way the dials are made, I believe. Obviously, a noticeable difference is you've got a different style finish on the bezel. You've got the GMT true bezel versus a Submariner bezel with a Pepsi design. The numbers on the Mathey Tissot obviously follow on from like a 2019 onwards Rolex sort of finish. If you look at years before that, you'll see that the numbers look a little bit different. You'll notice the numbers probably look a bit like a Submariner one, minus Submariner bezel. Markings are very, very similar. I think the markings on the Timex have been a bit more well thought through, with the boldness on the Timex on the Harborside. The Mathey Tissot one's a bit sort of cheaper looking, I'd say. Date dial is at the 3 PM. Timex one looks bolder. The Timex one's a bit more well defined. The Tissot one's a bit more well defined. Not going to touch the crown on the Mathey Tissot, but I can tell you it's probably very, very similar to the Timex. They both pop out crowns and they both feel exactly the same. One big difference is obviously one's automatic, one's quartz. Not sure on the movement of this one, but the Mathey Tissot operates on a Swiss Ronda 515 movement, which is a good movement. After wearing it for a certain amount of time, I've been wearing it a long time now, and you notice a difference in how accurate it is when you're changing the time back and forward every 6 months. And over sort of a 6 month period, it's probably gained 1.5 minutes. That's it, really. Whereas the automatic's probably going to give you 8 seconds or plus or minus 8 seconds a day. The one thing obviously missing with the Pepsi on the Timex is the non-GMT function. So you get one whole function more with the Mathey Tissot, and the fact that it's Swiss made with a Swiss movement. So it's a good choice probably to go for the Mathey Tissot, but it's entirely up to you what you want to go for. Casings are very similar in terms of finish. They're both polished finish. Straps are different. You've got a Jubilee strap finish on this one and a oyster look finish on this one, both 20mm in width. The Jubilee strap I find molds to your wrist a bit better, whereas the Timex one just looks a bit more sort of classy, a bit more draws attention to the watch a little more in my eyes. But the Jubilee, I think it's got a bit more of a better look, I'd say, because of the two types of finish. You've got brush finish as well as a polish finish. The oyster strap just has that polish finish. They're both adjustable by little tiny pins on the side, which is odd for an oyster strap because they're usually screws. Coming down to the deployment systems, the Mathey Tissot is much, much better. You've got a much better stainless steel mechanism going on there, and over time that hasn't got any weaker. That click down. My concerns would be this getting a little bit weaker over time. That feels a little bit weaker now. The click down, this is just not the same as the Mathey Tissot. With the Timex though, you do get a nice look at the case back if you're interested in the workings and behind that. I think more thought has gone into the back of that back plate with the stages and the overall print, whereas the Mathey Tissot obviously just has that globe on the back with a simple screw down finish. Both straps aren't quick release, but they're both quite easy to remove. Just slot a little tool in the side of those. Put that on. Probably help if I took my other watch off, but I'm too lazy. So there we go, guys. That is the 2 watches on the wrist. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you on the next video.